ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Check this out, we got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the co-host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors. Welcome to our Thursday edition of the Breakfast Bankroll. Good friend and colleague, Mr. Scotty Webb, live from Tampa, as we get you ready for a little Atlanta-Tampa NFL game. Headliner, can Baker and Bucs get back on track? Going to talk about the wrap up of the winter meetings, and I'm going to do a State of the Union to all the Red Sox fans and nation there from the eyes of what I see and hear with my moles. And it was clear as day, and shame on us for getting the banana in the tailpipe, as my good buddy Scott reached out. Kelly yesterday and on Twitter and sent the emoji. Michigan head coach out as the world turns. It's just crazy. We went through this a handful of years ago with the Celtics and Ime having a little fling in the office that cost him his Celtics job, but he got back on his feet. He's doing well in Houston. So Army Navy is the football game this weekend. I think there was one other one Scotty said. But first and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It is free. And of course, AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. 'Tis the season. Steaks, seafood, chops, appetizers, wine. Let Terry do all the work, and you just enjoy the festivities. Head on over to AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. So without further ado, let's bring him on, Mr. Scotty Webb. What's up, Scott?
Hey, man. It's Thursday as the world turns, right? It's the soap opera we have and all the other stuff that goes on in the world, and you know, whatever it is, what it is.
And I'll just get this one out of the way. Breaking news yesterday, and then I guess there was some trolls or whatever over the weekend that hinted something was going down and he was up to no good. Then the heat was on, and next thing you know, I guess he goes home to his wife, threatens his life, and then heads over to her house and kind of breaks in, supposedly, as his wife's tracking him on the phone, and they get the police over there and now in custody. $30 million. I mean, Jesus, here, most people are scraping. In today's society, if you're making $30 an hour, you're doing well. Here's $30 million up in smoke because you couldn't control yourself. And I'm not going to get into the X's and O's and all this. This happens all the time. Just a shame. In today's society, Scott, with social media, there's a camera everywhere. You can't go anywhere without a camera. And so if you're going to do something, just remember this. You're going to have to face the consequences as well.
Well, I mean, there's no question. My personal opinion is that I don't think they liked him anyway. Um, as the coach up there, so I think he was going to be out somewhere down the line anyway. So whatever. I mean, just not getting into all that stuff. It's people do whatever they do. I don't care what they do. So if they want to go do that stuff, they go do that stuff. It's no big deal. But at the same time, there is a price to pay, and once you're trying to pay the price, you can't be running around like a chicken with your head cut off, saying, "Oh, woe is me! I'm gonna go shoot somebody, or I'm gonna go do this, or I'm gonna go do that." You know what I mean? Just you were a man at one time, trying to trying to I guess woo some lady and be a man about getting caught. That's all.
Real losers in this. The wife, I think he has 2 kids as well. Obviously, the young girl from Michigan, yada yada yada. On to the winter meetings. Not a lot of times in baseball when you bet on yourself, you come up a winner. Kyle Schwarber. 2 days ago we talked about 5 years, 150 million. Orioles were the runner-up, same exact offer. 2 days, the next day, in comes Schwarber, and I talked to some colleagues, and I talked to, if I was the Red Sox, I said out loud, I don't think he makes as much as Schwarber. If it was about the years, I was offering, me personally, I was thinking 5 for 125 at 25. If he wanted 27.50, I'm sorry, yeah, 27 and a half, I would have offered him a 4 for 110. Boy, was I wrong. 5 years, 155, so he's making 31 per, and he bet on himself. He turned down 150 2 years ago from the Mets, 155. So in 7 years, he made over 200 million. And again, the American League East. Now, listen. All the Oriole fans and look out, here come the Listen, guys, if they're going to beat you 9-8, God bless you. Their front end pitching, I know they added some back ends, but the fact is you added the back top of the lineup looks great. And I'm not saying they're not going to score. And now Alonso will be a thorn on not just my side, your side for the next 5 years.
Well, it's interesting how things play out. So I thought it was pretty cool to look at it from a where's my mouse? There it is. I got too many monitors. So if I go over here and I pull this up and I look at standings and projected standings. So what's interesting is if you look at the American League East as it sits now and the way Fangraphs does it, right, and the projected standings of what they look like. Granted, we still don't have change and all that stuff, but you're looking at Blue Jays at a winning percentage of 536. And then you have, it says Yankees 535, Red Sox 532, Orioles 511, Rays 503. Every single team over 500 in that division. So what's interesting is, you remember last year, right, how the National League West was kind of like that, well, the way they had all these teams. So if you look at the National League West, we go down and look at the National League West, Dodgers 574. Next closest team, Diamondbacks 498. Giants 493, Padres 492, and Rockies 394. One team over 500, everybody else under. I get it, it's right kind of at that breaking point at 500. But point being is, boy, 1 year can make a big difference in some of this stuff and how teams go and move and relate. And I would say the best baseball you're going to see probably this year is going to be out of the American League East and out of the National League East. And those teams are all going to battle each other. I would say that, yes. So kind of doing the exercise we did before where we were looking at, WAR numbers and different things and how things stack up. If you go back, or if I go back and I look at this, the Baltimore Orioles are now 41.9 WAR, right behind the Phillies, 42.2. Well, the rumors are out there, right, and different things, and we talked about, they don't got any starting pitching, and they don't. I mean, they don't have that. But the best starting pitcher out there right now is Framber Valdez, and Framber Valdez is worth 3.7 WAR, and he's in cahoots. And I shouldn't say cahoots. He's in talks with Baltimore. Maybe Baltimore signs him. Well, if Baltimore signs him, you can just basically add 3.7 WAR to this number. And if you add 3.7 WAR to this number, that makes it 41.9, 3.7 WAR. So that's like 44, 44.9, 45.6, something like that. So if you get up to 45.6, then you got Dodgers 51, Blue Jays 46, Orioles 45.6, Yankees 45.3. If you sign that one player for the Orioles, that one pitcher, and you get him on that front end like that, they're right there with the best teams in baseball. So that's what they're missing. And if they can get it at that level, because Framber's, he's the best available free agent. I think that puts them in a pretty good spot. Now, if they don't get him and they have to settle for other pitchers, they're going to have to figure out, where it goes. And, one of the things I think it's good to say right now is the way I do a lot of the prognostication on my end is I like to look at, okay, well, this guy had a good season or a bad season last year. And then I look up and I grade that based off of what's his normal WAR rating or whatever. And then he was either below or above. Well, how old is he? Is he in his downswing of his years, or is he kind of younger guy in his upswing of his years? Because you get older, you get you're going to go down. You're not going to go up. So then I look at it and go, well, were they hurt? Was it an off year for these guys? Because ultimately, what tends to happen in Major League Baseball, or just statistics and numbers in general, you're more apt to go play back to your normal than you are to over exceed, unless you're a young player that's just breaking out, right? So I think with the Orioles, you got to look at that stuff. Like Adley Rutschman, what really is Adley Rutschman? Is he like he was when he was a rookie? Is he that good? Or is he more like he was last year and he was off? Well, I think he's going to play like he normally would. So that means he's going to play better. Like Colton Cowser, right? He didn't play much. Well, I think he's going to play a little better than what he did last year. That kind of stuff. I think you're going to see some of these guys, like for the Orioles in particular, probably play better than what they did a year ago, just because of timing circumstances. They're younger players. They're going to grow with the game, and then you're going to see other teams, where like the Schwarbers of the world, he had 56 home runs, 54 home runs. I don't know what it was, something like that. He's not going to do that this year. He's just not. And part of all those home runs and all the different things is the people that play around you and what order you're in. He's a leadoff hitter, for God's sakes, for that team. So I think when you start to really start breaking down a team, which I can't do yet because I don't have enough and more of a kind of finalized look, I kind of like to look at it in a sense of, is this team going to grow and be maybe better than what you think, or are they going to be dead in the water? Some of the teams are going to be dead in the water. Some of these teams overachieve, and they're never going to get back to that spot. So I worry about that with the Blue Jays, because, you got the Addison Bargers of the world and the whatever that guy's name is, Lucas, and all these other that just came out and just did really, really well. They've never done that before. So if they've never done that before, what's their normal? Well, they're probably going to revert back a little bit to that normal. So that doesn't mean that they're a bad team and all that stuff. I still think they need a big bat, and Bichette's not there right now. I don't know that he's quote like big bat. He's a bat. He's a good bat. Don't get me wrong, I don't think he's a big bat like Kyle Tucker is, but as they play out, we'll see what happens. But anyway, that was my food for thought. Was when you think about these teams, think of them as kind of like what's their normal year look like? What did they do last year? Are they young guys where they're capable of the growing and they're emerging, and that's going to be that's not their high end number. That's going to grow even higher. Or was that a year that's abnormal? And they overproduced, so now they're not necessarily going to underproduce. They're just going to produce like they normally would. And I think you got to watch and be careful with some of that stuff. Like I think the Braves are going to break out one of these years because they got a bunch of guys that at one time can really do a lot of stuff, and they haven't. So depending upon the right manager, the right situation, the right stuff, maybe they get the right pitching. They got pitchers that are going to be healthy this year. They're not going to be dead last. I mean, they're not. Let's put it this way: they're not going to finish below the Marlins this year.
Red Sox Nation, listen, you can blame Henry, you can blame Breslow, but if you look at how they're made up, if you look what they have done, you look at Henry and is this just a portfolio piece? And the problem for most of the nation is that you get caught up in the hype. You get caught up. I always talk steak versus sizzle, and you start believing in what you're reading on social media. And truth be told, for myself, is the fact that I was pretty. Schwarber wasn't coming back. He was going to stay in Philadelphia. We've already had a bite at that apple. He wasn't coming back. Then you start to listen. You start to talk to people. And then you start to visualize what Alonso actually would look like in Fenway Park. And then all the writers saying, Bregman and. And my 2 cents was, listen, don't make Bregman the focal point. Go out, do something before that, and put Boris and Bregman in the corner and make them come back to you. And a hard pill to swallow for Red Sox Nation is the fact that as the season started last year, we had Bregman and Devers. And then Devers became that cancer in the locker room. We traded Devers. And for the Red Sox, it was probably one of their greatest days in history because they got out of $280 million. That's the Giants' problem. Then the Red Sox took off. Well, if you come back with Bregman, you still didn't replace Devers. And what was my real big sticking point, Scotty, why, as this progressed, it wasn't going to happen, is because you still got Yoshida, which no one will take on. You now have Cassis coming back from that injury. So you have these extra pieces where I think in the Red Sox mind, would they like to move on from Yoshida? They wanted to move on from Yoshida for years now. Cassis, don't forget, last year, we were trying to trade Cassis for a pitcher to Seattle. Gilbert, Wu, Castillo, and they didn't bite. So now if we bring in Pete Alonso, now we're stuck because everyone knows now we have these extra pieces, and now we're going to give them away for pennies on the dollar. And I'm not even talking Yoshida, I'm talking Cassis now. So my point here is, now it was the age, and they don't want to get caught in the back end of a deal early to mid-30s, and now Alonso, who's played 162 and 162, well, year 4 and 5, he's playing 115, 118, and I still got to pay him 31. They're not going to go down that road. They haven't for a while. So now they're caught with whatever the price tag is for Bregman. And if it gets out of hand again, I'm hearing the Polanco, I'm hearing Suarez, and don't forget, you have Marcelo Meyer. So I guess my first big question to you, let's go back to the Diamondbacks and Ketel Marte, because I want that guy. I think he'll serve a great purpose. He's young enough. He'll help them he can do so much for them. You talked about WAR. Was Arizona just dangling? I mean, the Red Sox, I assume, can offer the most out of anyone between Bello, pitching that's ready now, a Tolley and Early. We have extra pieces. Marte's not going anywhere, is he?
I think he might. I mean, there's a lot of teams in on him. It's a matter of, I think, what does the Diamondbacks really view themselves as? So, Fangraphs, we just said they're a 500 team. 500 teams not going to make the playoffs. What are their needs? Well, they need everything now. Like if I pull up the Diamondbacks, where are the Diamondbacks? The Diamondbacks grade out like the Reds, whatever, so think about it. They got Gabriel Moreno at catcher. Well, they're okay there. I mean, he's not a bad player. He's pretty decent. At first base, Pavin Smith, Tyler Locklear. They got nobody at first base. Then there's your Ketel Marte, 4.3 WAR guy at second base. I mean, that's an awesome number. He's a great player. Shortstop, Perdomo. He broke out last year. He's been doing pretty good. I don't think they got to worry about shortstop, so I think they're okay there. Third base, they got a young kid. His name is Jordan Lawler, who they like a lot. Maybe they overrated him. Maybe he's going to break out. Maybe he's just too young. I don't remember. I can't see how old he is on this report, but 1.6 WAR grade is not the greatest grade in the world. That's an average player at best. So theoretically, they need a third baseman. They need a first baseman so far. They need, Lourdes Gurriel in left field, a 0.7 WAR guy. They need a left fielder then. Center field. They've got Alec Thomas, 1.1 WAR. That's no good. And they need, and then they got Corbin Carroll. Well, they don't need to replace Corbin Carroll. He's their best guy. So I think when you think about what they've got, they need a third baseman, they need a first baseman, and basically 2 outfield spots. So that's 4 players on a regular basis. And then starting pitching wise, Brandon Pfaadt's their best pitcher now. 1.9 WAR guy. Well, that's not good enough to compete against like the Dodgers, right? Or even the Giants or teams like that. And then Ryan Nelson, Edward Rodriguez, Mike Soroka. I mean, they need pitchers. So it depends on how they really view themselves. So I guess what I'm trying to say is if Arizona sits there and goes, I can trade Ketel Marte and I can get 3, 4, 5 guys, whatever it takes, back in return as a haul, and I can get myself into a spot where I'm addressing a lot of needs that this team needs, we can do that. Keep in mind, last year, Ketel Marte is the same player that was crying on the field because one of the fans was making fun of his mother. And he's a diva in the clubhouse. He's a diva. He's Rafael Devers that way. I don't know if Devers is either, but I mean, he's a flamboyant guy. So I think you got to be careful with what you give up and what your locker room looks like and how many other this is going to sound terrible, Latin players and stuff you got around him to try to keep him in line a little bit, because I think Ketel Marte can mentally lose it. I don't want to take away his talent. He's awfully good, awfully good. And I never want to bet on the Diamondbacks if that kid's not playing. That's kind of how I feel about the Diamondbacks, right? If he's not playing, I don't want to bet on him. I like Corbin Carroll, but Corbin Carroll then followed up by Marte. That's a pretty good one too. So when it comes to what Marte offers, he offers a lot of positives, but he's got a few really goofy things about him. And I think that the Diamondbacks can use so much help that if somebody comes along and goes, well, here's a potential third baseman, here's a potential first baseman, here is a center fielder or whatever, and a developing pitcher, they might go and say, shit, that's awesome. that addresses a ton of my needs. I think that's a good enough deal, and they trade him. I think there's a lot of teams in on him. The first report that I saw was the Rays talking about it, and now I've seen other teams in on it. So somebody's gonna probably give them what they need or what they want. This is my opinion. You can't go if you're a National League West team. What are you going to do? You're not going to beat the Dodgers, right? So are you going to try to position yourself to be a wild card team to make it in, and then maybe have somebody else beat the Dodgers and you can get through the playoffs or something? So I think that them giving up a Marte is not the end of the world. So I don't know how they view it. I'm not out in Arizona to hear a lot of that. I think some of these teams, you and I've talked behind the scenes a little bit last year. I've always thought that the Red Sox, for example, is a team that I think overvalues Casas. I think the rest of the league sits there and goes, well, shit, he's not as good as whatever they think he is. So they're trying to get, superstars for him, and everybody else is kind of like, we're not going to give you superstars. We'll give you something, but not that. So every team does that. Every team has their viewpoint of their player and what their player is worth. And sometimes they never match up. And, we'll see what happens with Marte. And I think they'll get rid of him because they can get so much more in return and really not damage that team so much. I mean, they're not going anywhere anyway. And they need more pitching. So,
well, and as the Red Sox again, they put their chest out because a year ago today or yesterday it was they made the deal for Crochet. So Marte again fits that bill. Hey, listen, we don't have to pay him $155 million. We have him under control for a couple of years. We just got to give up roster and potential prospects there. It makes so much sense. Then go back, fit the bill, go bring Bregman. So now you got Bregman and Marte. Hey, we did our job, yada, yada, yada. So again, we'll see what happens there. And a transition into the NFL. Your Tampa Bay Bucs opened at 5.5 with a 43.5. Now at the circa. Good morning, Mr. Benson and Mr. Stevens. 4.5 with a 44. Again, the headliner, Kent Baker and the Bucs get back on track. I heard Mike Evans is back. A team that's been leaking oil, a team that started off the year great, a team that was road warriors, a team that got Bucky Irvin back as well. Must-win situation here. Need to stop the bleeding and you got 4 games left. You need to start to build momentum if you want to get to the playoffs.
Well, I guess my first thought is and by the way, thanks PB for the repost there. I appreciate it. I think one of the things that we can sit here and go is who are the Bucs, right? Like you just talked about it at the beginning of the season. They were beating teams, and they beat good teams. They didn't beat just bad teams. They beat good teams, and they beat them on the road. And obviously, you play the road games, you're going to have tight games, and they come down to field goals at the end and all kinds of different things. But they won the games. What I think you're seeing differently right now with the Bucs is their defense is just not the same as it was. I think teams are finding a little more success than what Tampa Bay would want to have happen. I think Baker Mayfield on the other side of that too, and Superman. He hasn't been able to go out there and do the things, and it could be because of limited guys to help him in terms of the wide receivers. Now, saying all that, Mike Evans is going to play, and the other kid's going to play. Whatever his name is, I forget what his name is. The kid they got from McMillan. Yeah, McMillan's going to play. They're going to play tonight. Now they might not play every down, every snap, but I think that gives them a little juice, a little energy. And I don't think, that Coach Todd Bowles was in the best of moods when they got beat by New Orleans last week. So I think you'll see the defense probably play a little bit better tonight. Um, it's hard. It's a hard game to handicap in a sense that the trend is Atlanta's just bad. If you're going to beat a team and you want to rebound and start turning your season back into a good success, which they need to do, it's not too bad to go play Atlanta. So especially at home. So I think you'll see Atlanta try to run the ball, and Kirk Cousins, they don't like him. So I don't think he's going to throw much, and he's been turnover prone here lately. So I think the way this game plays out is you're going to see a lot of kind of running and then throwing by both teams. But I do think that explosive plays, Tampa Bay's got way, way more of an edge, and explosive plays that Tampa Bay has. And then with the addition of Mike Evans, you got to remember, Mike Evans is a red zone monster. Like he just goes in the red zone and you just throw him the ball and he catches it, and you boxes out the other player or whatever he does. He just gets it. So I think that comfort blanket, if you want to call it that, for Baker Mayfield's important. So I'm more apt to bet this game on the side of Tampa Bay tonight. It's obviously a big game for them in a sense that quote they're tied for the lead, but because of tiebreakers, they're winning the division. This is a game they have to win. They play Carolina next week after this week, and then I think they end the season with Carolina. So they got 2 more games with them. So so this game is important. But even if they lose this game, they can still beat Carolina and then beat Carolina and then be in. So that they can do more to still get in. But that's not the path you want to take, right? I mean, you want to go out and beat Atlanta. Atlanta doesn't have a whole lot to threaten you. So your defense should be able to hold up. Running through the AI system, it's 20. It was 20. Where's that? The college game. The NFL game was 24-17. Tampa Bay wins. Kind of sounds right to me. I don't think it's going to be a majorly high-scoring game. I think there's going to be both teams run the ball, then throw off the run. I think Mike Evans makes a difference. I think some of this stuff where Tampa Bay's defense comes into play. I'm not saying this is a best bet by any chance. I'm saying that it's just a bet. I think you can bet. Certainly you might want to get the 4 when it was available, but it's still better than 5.5. You can bet the 4.5 if that's where you're at. I don't think I want to touch the total. I don't trust the total. I don't trust Tampa Bay's defense right now to actually do what they're supposed to do. So if they do what they're supposed to do, then this game's over right away. If they do what they're supposed to do, they're a top 10 defense in the league, but that's not where they are. They're like a top 20 defense in the league right now. So, and I still don't think that Atlanta's offense is good enough to bunch of points to win this game. So anyway, I guess that's my thoughts on tonight's game.
Well, seeing there's really only one college football game, you don't get a lot of your NFL stuff till the end of the week. I should have went in and we should have talked backstage. So we're verbally going to discuss now. We can do.
I can talk about the Washington game if you want to.
Well, here's my thought process to you. We can break down that game right now and basically give you Friday off.
Well, I can do the NFL tomorrow if you want, or I can be out Friday too. I don't care, whatever you want.
Well, you're the boss. You want Friday off, or we can save the Washington and NFL for tomorrow. I wasn't sure if you're going to be ready with the NFL tomorrow.
Well, I'm trying to utilize. Like, I get so much data. I don't know how much the AI can take. So I gave it a whole bunch this time because it's broke down different. It's not broke down, like games on paper, right? You look at it, it's like two teams right there. It's just easy to digest. You can look at it. Well, today I got some of that data from the NFL, and then I have a lot of non-broken down data. Just data, and so it's throw it in there and see how it comes out. So I can do that. It's a slower process, but whatever, it is what it is. I don't sit there and go through there and go, well, this is the game I want to bet on. I don't, like when I'm looking at the NFL, I don't look at every single game. I look at spots where I think I can probably find a little bit of an edge, and then I look at who's betting on certain things and go, well, why are they betting this game? So I run it through the AI because an additional game. I don't do every game. I don't think it's necessary to do every game because I don't think you're going to sit there and go, well, yeah, I want to go bet the Rams at minus 15 or something against some other team. So anyway, point being is the AI was able to take that information and do something with it. And I was able to give it like last 4 weeks worth of stuff too. So I don't like to do the NFL just on the full season because who cares what they did in the first 2 weeks? It's what they're doing now. So I like to get a little bit of a mix and a flow in there. So anyway, point being is I can do whatever you want. There's not a whole lot of college football to talk about this week. We'll have quite a bit. I shouldn't say quite a bit. I got to make sure I word this right. It's really difficult, and I'm going to say it this way, to start like next week in college football. We have a game Tuesday. We have 2 games on Wednesday, a game Thursday, and 3 games on Friday. Of course, Friday is when the playoffs start too, and good games on Saturday. Well, Tuesday, we're going to be talking about Troy and Jacksonville State. Really? I mean, really? Who cares? I mean, I get it. It's a college bowl game, and it's all fabulous, and it's fantastic and stuff. But let me just share this. When the lower levels you start betting college football, the more you're going to have the players, the coaches, the teams apt to be less consistent. You're going to get bad performances and great performances. I don't know what you're going to get out of these games. So if you're betting on any of these games and say units and all that stuff, if your normal unit's $100, say, I wouldn't be wagering more than $50 on these kind of games because you never know what's going to happen between these teams and who's got motivational edges and who doesn't and all that kind of stuff. But I will say this. There is, and I retweeted it. So if you guys follow me on Twitter, which some of you do and some of you don't, but if you follow me on Twitter and I retweeted it so that you could see it, and because I knew I was going to talk about it. Stucky, a guy who works for Action Network, he has his own little cubby hole. About the only thing I really look at for him. It's this time of year. He has his own little cubby hole of the breakdown of college games and bowl games in a sense of who's going to play. And that's the most important thing you need to know because you have transfer portal guys. You have guys that are opting out because they're going to the NFL. You have guys that coaching. So if you were to go to my Twitter and obviously look at what I reposted or whatever, it's there. If you click, I put it up there. It comes out and he's got a little boxes down there that you can actually click the game you want. And then all the information is there so you can sit there and go, okay, well, Boise State portal opt-outs. Well, the safeties, Ty Benenfield, and the left tackle declared for the NFL draft. Okay, so Boise State's left tackle is really not going to play in this game. So as you're doing these things, I think it's important that you're in a spot where you need to know that information, and that information, then it talks about injuries, and then it goes into the Washington injuries and opt outs, and so perfect. There you go. That's it. So when you do that, I think that's going to help you, especially when you get to the games later, where say Tennessee plays Illinois, for example. Well, who's going to play in that game, or the LSU game, or the USC game? You know, who's going to play in those games? And is Mayava going to play? And is he going to opt out because he wants to be ready for the draft, or he wants to do this, or he doesn't want to get hurt, or all of those things? Well, this is where you're going to find that information, and I think if I can share that with everybody, I don't know how else other than to put it out there for people, other than because it's a Twitter feed. I just reposted it because I knew I was going to talk about it, so it's easier to find, and I think it's great information. So anyway, point being is, I think if you want to talk about that game, Boise State and Washington, I'm not betting it. I might. I've got 34-24 is the score. Washington 34, Boise 24. The line's 9.5. So what's the value in that game? But there is some value on the overside, 58 points. And what's interesting is my AI came out and it said 58 or 34-24, and then I looked and I had the access to the gold sheet, and the gold sheet score is 34-24. So they have the exact same score, and they have a recommended play on the over. And then, like Sagarin's score is 32-21. Nobody is close to, they're all right around that 10 number. So I think, when you start to sit there and go through the game, you've got a more dominant defense in Washington, a more explosive offense in Washington, but both teams are decent. So I don't think they're going to totally, completely shut them down, and that's where the offense comes in at. Plus, you're on a fast track at SoFi. So I think that's where you kind of look at it and go, where's the value? I think the value is slightly in the over in the game. I don't think I want to be betting minus 9.5 in this game when, I'm sitting there going, well, it's 34-24, is my thoughts.
11 o'clock, 1 hour, Nick Hathcote back to talk the final chapter on exactly his thoughts on, getting the banana in the tailpipe as the committee had them in front of Miami the whole time. Neither team played, yet Miami and Notre Dame out. He'll be back at 11, so set your notifications there. 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific. Ron Marmolevsky back live from LA to talk some college football and some NFL and some other things as well. So for myself, Jeff Dawson, DDC Sports Investor, one and only Scotty Webb at Webby20 MLB. Shout out to BB. Thank you as always for the love and support. Guys, we'll be back in exactly 1 hour. Go grab a coffee and a bagel. See you soon.